What's happening, guys? Hey, welcome back to the channel. I am that guy. If you have not done so already, please hit that subscribe button. I appreciate you guys as always. Be a friend and tell a friend. It's free to do. Today we're going to go over the 2024 KX250X. We're going to talk about some of the similarities and differences between your standard KX250 versus this 250X model. And yes, I know that the 2025s have rolled out. Their biggest difference on those is that you can tune them from your phone now. So we're going to go ahead and talk about these 2024 differences. A lot of them will transfer over to the 25 models. Unfortunately, I do not have one to show you guys. We have not hit that status yet, but we're going to go over what I've done to this thing. It's pretty basic, honestly. So let's go ahead and just roll right into this. Go ahead and talk about some of the obvious differences on these bikes. First being your kickstand. The 250X is going to come with a kickstand. Next, your tires. All right, as far as your rim size and your tires. So they both are running a 21-inch front rim and tire. They are Dunlop, they are Geomaxes. However, these are the AT81s that come on the 250X versus the MX33s that are going to come on your KX250. Obviously a motocross platform versus as far as your trail and woods racer. Now jumping into your wheel sizes, your front tire is going to be the same on both, still a 21-inch, but your rear on the 250X is an 18-inch versus the 19-inch on your KX250. Now both bikes do also come with your Renthal, your fat bars. These are your oversized handlebars. Both of them do come with these. They also, both bikes do have a launch control button. So bike does have launch control. I will say I do love as far as the power on this thing and the fact that it redlines at almost 14,000 RPMs around there. So that's a huge bonus. Your suspension though, let's talk about it. As far as on your X's, this suspension is so soft. It is of course revalved, different spring rates. This is just an overall way softer suspension with these KYB forks, all right? I will go ahead and say that I have tested out as far as taking this onto a motocross track. It's been years since I had ever touched one, but I did end up getting this thing out there just to kind of test it out. It was so soft that anytime, landing wise, it was not a very smooth transition. If you're looking for hitting a motocross track with a 250X, yes, you can do it, absolutely. It is not going to be the most comfortable thing. Don't think that you're going to ever compete as far as suspension wise with the KX250 though. This thing is set up, man, to be a just absolute trail monster. Just don't expect yourself to go out and compete on a motocross track with the 250X as far as your suspension. Some of the KX250 guys that I do know, they do end up going with a shorter gear ratio. So they do end up running a 51 tooth in the rear for the rear sprocket. However, I will tell you, these forks though, and just the way that they're valved and all, is nowhere near the same as a standard KX250. I love it being very soft, just as far as some of the rock bed sections and things like that. Of course, obviously your roots, uphills are real nice. It doesn't make it feel like the front end is just going to absolutely pick up on you or flip you backwards if you're going uphill. And I know a lot of that comes down to rider positioning and stuff like that, but this bike really does make you feel really planted. So let's go ahead and talk about the seat height. So the seat height on your KX250X is 37.2 inches. Your regular KX250 is 37.8. So not a huge difference there. Honestly, you're talking maybe, what, half an inch? So it's not too terrible of a difference. Now Kawasaki has what they call a DFI coupler system. Now this is going to be the same on the 250 and the 250X. It is essentially these plugs here, and I'll go ahead and show you guys. You have these map plugs right here. And those, they come in your standard, which is green. You do have your white, which is a little bit leaner of a tune here. And then you have your black, which is going to be a little bit richer. Now I do run mine on my black just because that also is stated in the handbook that it is also for a little bit rougher terrain. So that's why I kind of run mine, obviously with given the racing style that we do. So let's go ahead and talk about as well your fuel tank capacity as we kind of roll into what I have done to mine. So your fuel tank capacity is 6.2 liters, which comes out to be about 1.64 gallons. I do have the Acerbis, the oversized fuel tank on here, which is a 2.7 gallon fuel tank. So roughly about, just to kind of give you guys as far as a mileage guesstimate or so, usually on anywhere from an 8 mile to, I would say, maybe around 12 mile. That's just per lap, depending on whether you're running GNCC or Mid-South or, you know, whatever have you. But if those are the laps, I usually will go maybe about 2 laps, come in, splash of fuel, possibly 3 laps, depending on how hard I'm riding that day. But 3 laps usually, splash of fuel. It's nowhere near at the bottom, but just to be safe. So as far as your actual mileage, I do not know as far as how many MPG this thing gets. That's all rider dependent, man, how hard you're riding and things like that. So that is why I went with the 2.7 gallon. I can go a little bit further on this thing. Plus, I love that I can also see it too. Rolling further, we'll talk about the seat cover. So I am running a Guts Racing seat cover. I run Guts Racing on all of my bikes. The one thing that I will say about their seat covers is they are long lasting and the only thing I will ever run on my bike. And no, I am not sponsored by Guts Racing. My seat does also have the bump in this thing. The bump, I love it. Keeps you really up in the saddle. Kind of lets you know where you really are in the seat. Especially helps on a lot of those hill climbs and things that you do. But first time ever running a seat bump on my bikes too. But I will say I will never switch from running this seat bump in here. I've said it in some of my other videos too, when you guys do hit up Guts Racing, you can also get a taller seat foam. So you can get their custom seat foams, you can raise it up, lowered. Also, you can end up adding your bumps or a step, whatever have you. Also, huge shout out, of course, to ASV and their breakaway levers they have provided us with for this bike. Makes the pool so much nicer. I always love running ASVs. We are running the DID gold chain on this. It is the stock front and rear sprocket though on the bike. We'll continue chatting about Acerbis here. As the fuel tank you already saw, we do have the front rotor guard. Also moving into the much needed skid plate. This thing has been absolutely phenomenal. And of course with all that is paired up with the Acerbis frame guards. So my overall and final thoughts, guys, I have had YZs, I've had RMs, I have had obviously Hondas, still got a few of those, still even have Suzukis down here. But this KX is an absolute game changer I can speak to it only though on as far as your off-road, the woods, trail racing, just single track riding, things like that. This bike does absolutely amazing, and it will lug y'all. Second gear, I mean, just putting even through some of the single track areas and all, this thing will make it. It'll do it. And it does have so much bark and so much bite to this thing. The power is really insane, and how fast it just reacts. And of course with that 51 tooth rear, it's very snappy as well. However, I will say that when you barely touch that gas though, it does get up and go, but you know what to expect in the power. So I do love that about the bike, especially for your single track purposes, or whether it be log hops, going through rock areas. You know, I really feel after having put, quite a few hours on this thing, which I'm right around about 20 hours on it, that I can actually get over these obstacles. I know when that power is going to hit. I know when it's going to be the most dangerous, and I really need to hold on and things like that. So it's really controllable, but it is there and it packs a punch. But that's it, guys. That's my honest review here, just from somebody that rides this thing, single track, trails, races, all that stuff. I will say this thing has been an absolute game changer. I love it as far as my racing and stuff goes. We are doing the entire US Sprint Enduro next year. We do have a race coming up in December in Kentucky with the Mid-South Cross Country, where my son will be racing the CRF 275, the Force Cam big bore build. He will be running that in a buddy class with me, praying nobody gets hurt and hoping for a podium finish. So let's see what we can do. But if y'all have any questions, please leave them in the comments. I will get back to you guys. I know this wasn't as in-depth as some of the stuff you could see on there of the actual bike itself, but and what we honestly think of owning it. Let me know what you guys want to see next. We finally got stuff kind of recovering here from the storm and stuff we've got a few weeks ago. So let us know what you guys want to see. We're putting some stuff on the books. I appreciate y'all as always. Be a friend, tell a friend, like, share, and subscribe. Catch y'all in the next go round. See ya.